So from here, we're going to move to co-editor in chief, Mr. VJ.R. Nathan. Been a pleasure working with him throughout the course of this year. This is in issue 2. VJ's got this radio show called Truth to Power that he's always looking for new guests. He's had some wonderful guests on the show. You can listen to back episodes. Got a couple books himself, a new one on the way. Yeah, definitely. Let's let VJ take it away and give it up for the VR Nathan.
Thank you. So I'll read the poem that I published in this collection. An Indian American travels in Poland on a night train. Lady Gaga sings to me, he can't read my poker face, as we approach the restaurant car, our reflections floating in the windows of the night train en route to Krakow. But Avi can, when he tells me, you're not okay. We navigate the train's sway, it rumbles to its destination. We sit to drink Blue Moons. I self-talk. Why can't I just calm down? Those border agents make their way to us. I say to Avi, you're my rock. I believe there's a path for me, for us to make a difference in this tumultuous Trump regime. Avi whispers, perhaps the meds are no longer effective. Perhaps the illness is adjusted. We split up. Avi's left his passport in Warsaw. The questions linger in the atmosphere. Why did they question us amongst those on the train? As I navigate Krakow alone, I rage at the unfair night, going to the ER where they adjust my meds. I crush on a nurse practitioner who consoles me. Everything is going to be okay. The next night I return, somehow tracing my way back to that cutie, telling her colleague I want to thank her for her care, who tells me, oh, sorry, my bad, she's not available. Confused, my heart cracks in the Polish nighttime heat. And I find myself in a Toronto nightclub. Something about the sweetness of stripper who says, I've never met a black man before, compels me not to correct her. Sometimes some things are better to pass over in silence. Thank you. So yeah.
So VJ, what's the new collection that you got coming out too?
So I'm hoping to publish Breakdown Dancer, which is a collection of poems about mental wellness challenges as well as breakups or romantic challenges. So it's kind of the play on words there, break down and break up. And there's going to be a lot of music playing, music playlists as well. I have some playlists that I created that are listening to for encourage the reader to listen to for like breakup anthems and things like that. Yeah, the most popular love is the most popular topic, but I give a new road into it. I think with the songs, you know.
Nice. So I guess we're gonna go with this next gentleman works primarily as an actor, and only recently has been writing some poetry. But we were taken by this piece, both kind of its performative quality as well as kind of the writing. Give it up for Ben Summerall, please.
Hey, hello everyone. So yeah, this piece, I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to and enjoying is that this piece, I look at it and it's so of a distant era, just a different time before I was vaccinated, before we were all stepping back out again. So it is delightful to look at this as a little bottling up of some feelings from the lockdown year. So it's just a little short one. It is a meditation on, and it is titled Time. Too much of it is on my hands, inching along, painfully slow. My world, unchanging, is my home. Each day blends into the next. To go out and back is such a big task. Infection prevention and wearing a mask, meticulous washing must then occur, eliminate all traces of the tiny spiked scourge. Today is unremarkable. Inspiration eludes. Monotony crushes creation. Does it even matter? Turmeric is helpful, somewhere I read. Immunity rests on what we are fed. Munching and crunching on veggies galore, exhaustingly raising my nutrient score. tumbling towards inevitable decline. Maybe my fears are overblown. Expect the worst, though. Toward the new future, I must advance. Make preparations, expecting my chance. This time is so strange. Intervals stuffed with chaotic cacophony. Make way for long stretches undefined. Engagement with crises then ramps it up again. Fiend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
It was very funny and very fun, very high spirited, high energy.
And I believe that poem's also an acrostic.
It is an acrostic, yeah. Those were all the little stanzas spell out time.
Time.
But, yeah.
All
Great.
right. So Cassandra, Cassie Cayley is next. Cassie Cayley, her whole life living in central Jersey, she's immersed herself in many different types of writing, from top 10 lists to poetry and everything in between. She has had a one-act play produced by College Theater Program and worked for Watch Mojo on YouTube. Currently, she copy edits her intersectional feminist blog, Feminist Trash blog, and is working on towards getting a Darkly Humorous children's book published. Oh, very interesting. Darkly Humorous children's book. So welcome, Cassie.
Hi. So yeah, I am working on getting a children's book published, self-published, hopefully. Working on fonts now. It's very frustrating. Little things. But this has nothing to do with children at all. And it's actually, I'm going to read something from same concept as the thing that's in the words are failing me in
Not Glad Journal, right?
in the zine. This is called How One Episode of The Twilight Zone Might Have Saved My Life. Nervous Man in a $4 Room. Season 2, Episode 3. Netflix describes the episode as, quote, small-time criminal Jackie Rhodes must face both his past and his conscience while waiting for his next assignment, unquote. And yes, that is the basics of it. A sniveling criminal, Jackie, pacing around a small, incredibly hot room. For the first time, his boss has told him he has to kill someone that night. But before he can leave, his conscience makes it known that he does not like that. And so, in this small, hot room, Jackie gets poked and prodded by his own reflection, who is yelling at him, telling him to let him take over the body. Jackie has used it long enough, and that's only led to a terrible life of crime, one that maybe he didn't want, one that he really wanted. And now is the moment before he makes his first kill. Now is the moment to let this other part of him take over and he can walk away clean, start fresh. For 1.5 years, I was in a relationship with a cruel man. In this relationship, much like Jackie, I only did what I was told to do. I only went where I was taken to by this man, only said what felt approved of by this man. Because I felt forced to quit my job for our relationship, much like Jackie, I waited for this man in a small room all day, every day. And very much like Jackie, I stuffed down all of my hurt, all of the hurt I was causing myself and others. I stuffed away my conscience. With nothing to do all day but wait, I watched all different TV shows and movies. But The Twilight Zone became a particular favorite. The original series, with the affable Rod Serling appearing at the end and beginning of each episode to tell the audience the moral of the story. It was easy watching, and though a bit skin prickling at times, it certainly ate up the long hours of the day. It also gave me many hours of contemplation. Though the series doesn't age well as far as effects and acting goes, it still provided unnerving content, sometimes, perhaps most times, unintentionally. After having finished the full series, I would go back and rewatch episodes that stuck with me or that I particularly liked. Then I started finding reviews online and began reading those, more specifically from the AV Club. Laying on that bed all day, I used to read everything the AV Club had to say about each episode of the classic show, taking in their hot takes, so to speak. It was a particularly innocuous episode, one that, on first watch, my mind didn't really seem to notice or pay attention to. Just some guy in a room talking to his reflection. But when I made it to that AV Club review, there was a quote that made me stop, made me question, that woke me up. Something was wrong about the life I was currently living. Quote, "This episode reminded me in many ways of a short story about what would happen if you were looking in the mirror and suddenly you were aware you weren't looking at yourself, at least not quite," unquote. I paused, read the sentence again. Was I not myself anymore? I rewatched the episode, felt something wash over me, something old and new at the same time. A past me, like my woman in the mirror was finally talking back to me. That night, with him asleep next to me, I couldn't do the same. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't stop thinking about that episode, about that quote. I slithered out of bed and went to the bathroom. Silently shutting the door behind me, I turned on the light and looked at myself in the mirror. My long hair had not been cut since the day we moved in together. I'd grown a little doughier since we started dating, since I first fell into bed with him. That bothered me, but only on a superficial level, as my gaze ping-ponged around my frame. It was my eyes that truly scared me. As I stared into them, they stared back with an anxious and deeply saddened mind. Where once there was a spark of life, now sat a long abandoned fire. They weren't mine anymore. In fact, I began to realize nothing on my body was mine anymore. I'd grown out my hair at his request. I'd morphed my wardrobe to his liking. The new fat on my body belonged to an unrecognized depression. And the longer I stared, the less I recognized myself. I had faded and been replaced with a nervous small girl who only existed at the whims of another human being. But I could feel the whisper of who I'd been before this, before I even met him. I could feel her under my skin, pimpling through my pores. And the longer I stared into the mirror through the eyes that were no longer mine, the more I wanted to be that person again. The more I wanted to reclaim my body, reclaim my whole self. I started to feel empowered, like I could run out of that house and down the street. Just keep running. Yes, barefoot. Yes, only wearing a bathrobe. Damn the consequences. I could figure it out. I still had people that loved me and wanted me in their lives, right? I could make it without him. I felt it. I felt her. I felt it all come rushing back. It was right there, all in the mirror, all outside that front door. But then the cold wave of reality crashed in with it, or at least my perception of reality at the time. It was midnight, maybe later. At that hour, no one would pick up if I called. Where was my phone anyway? I couldn't just run out on him. We had a life together. He would be scared. I would be scared. And what would happen if he found me first? All that fear would turn into anger, and all of that anger would be taken out on me. Sadness began a slow, steady drip into my marrow, and as I turned off the light and went back to bed, the prickling feeling of the old me slunk back into her place inside me where she'd been for a while, curled up in the darkness. But I never forgot that feeling of freedom. As the months rolled on, I became more and more unhappy under his touch. That feeling of running away, of starting over, never left my skin. That me might have been in the darkness, but there was some gray of dawn starting to show. Looking back now, nearly 5 years later, I couldn't tell you how long it took me to get fed up with the way the days seemed to revolve around his whims, the abuse of my time, the abuse of my mind. But I can tell you that much like Jackie's mirror self went out in the end, so too did mine. It was her pushing through who did it. who finally told him I was done, who finally pushed past the games of guilt and promises to be better next time. That mirror me, that past and future me, the me that wanted freedom, the me that was done with this path and ready to start fresh. Take the lessons, but lose the rest.
Thank you. Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you. Take the lesson, leave the rest.
Thank you.
And a moment of healing. Thank you, Cassandra. Are you in the East Coast right now, or?
Yes.
Wonderful. In our 90-degree weather. This is great.
Yes.
We've got East and West here in the building.
Yeah.
Building. There's no building.
Now, Scott, you'll be reading a little bit. I just want to tell everyone the co-editor of the journal. I'll read that whose work has been featured in New York Times, New York Post.
Wait, Vijay, can you show the actual the issue? I'd love for people to kind of see it.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been saying it's just a zine, but actually have some print editions.
Yes.
Now this is the first issue.
Kevin's got it as well. Nice.
This is the first issue 1, and this is issue 2. The issue that we're now launching. So you got a really great cover there. So both of them have a really great cover, and we'll be in New York City Poetry Festival on Governor's Island end of July. So if you guys want to come on out, we should be representing there.
Right. So if anybody's around in New York, during July, take the ferry out there, kind of have a table, meet other artists as well. That'll be fantastic. But I also, I know we're running a little after 8 now. Cassandra just did it now too. I'd love for everybody, this is important, put out any links that you would want people to direct towards some other of your work. Feel free to put that in the chat. Or if you have, already reached out to some people privately, that's cool too. But we'll save this chat, and I think that's important.
So so also Scott released a new book recently, The Everything Bagel. So just want to say you can check that out as well on his website, nightcloudjournal.org, and I have the websites, both of our websites linked under the About Us, so we can find out more about our work through there and Scott's work through his website. So do you want to read a final piece, Scott?
It's actually a sequel to a poem that I wrote maybe 15 years ago, and I kind of wrote a part 2. So I guess I'll show you a minute version of the original that I performed ages ago, and then I'll go a little bit into the sequel.
Have you seen those breasts? What I do to just lick those. Thanks. Still salivating salaciously from those mesmerizing thighs. Time went on ticking and I started to sicken when I became stricken on the most finger licking. I was addicted to chicken. KFC meant to me that I kill for chicken. But the only good chick was a dead chick. The only good chick was hooked, then cooked, then in my gut, tossed, then sauced, then straight out my butt. Peter, I dreamt always of that golden brown beast that would be my next feast. As I started sweating grease, I grew shanks and shoulders and wanted to go home. Tried brushing my hair. I had a chicken comb. I started wigging like Ender. I could have been a chicken contender. But. Salmonella!
Have you seen these lean proteins? What I do to just lick those sweet greens, still salivating salaciously from those mesmerizing veggie fries. Time kept on ticking and I started to sicken. Hedging my bets against early death, I replaced ribs, meat, and chicken with a mixin' of fixins. To needlessly feed this heedless cretin, I was slowly becoming an elitist, meatless, vegan. I know how hypocritical for the chicken man to jump on the bland wagon with flavorless shredded wheat. But the truth of substituting heavy beef for more bamboo shoots, fruits, and Beyond Meat has me feeling outstanding. My palate's expanding and energy levels are at an all-time high. Never mind hurtling heart disease and obesity, I just feel fly. And I don't eat like a bird, I'm actually more the same, except this time my food's a little more plain. But I say forget wings and things, I'm the Kobayashi of high fiber bowls of kashi. I know, quite the contradiction. Dismissing my chicken affliction to write this Uncle Benediction. But you do you. It's okay to have your rice cake and eat it too. Because I'm not forcing my diet down your throat, so eat whatever floats your boat or keeps you from sinking. I just watch what I eat and am completely clear with what I'm drinking. Aside from this flow, it's a whole lot of probiotics and H2O. I will admit nowadays I get a little high and mighty when a menu is solely filled with fried and greasy, leafless, sugary sweetness, and I'm denied access to peaceful pieces of steamy, dreamy meatlessness. Clearly a case of my inability to accept my white meat privilege. So now I exercise these civil rights for a more civil fridge. I swear my flat is packed with a healthy buffet, so post-COVID, come on over any day where the well-to-do flat broken you will all be served from the same tray. Plus my white Castley casing just runs better without any extra fluff, as this diet has eased my pre-Crohn's disease and those vomit-filled flare-ups. Yes, I was addicted to chicken from childhood through teens, so I can't pretend I haven't taken it to the other end of the extreme. Like I can't stop eating chopped, little beet can't be beat, and I count sweet greens when I sleep. But I fear I've started to soften. It's like the KFCC blew the whistle on this chicken dismissal, and I can't keep from turning and tossing. So no buffaloes or General So's, kind of been the kale in my coffin. I swear I'm wearing Italian dress and my bladder's a smoothie, my brain seaweed salad in my veins. My veins look like they're made of kelp. Seriously, I need help before I eat myself. I know, what an impossible spin, like learning the magician and the prestige had a twin. John Doe's got the upper hand, wrath is the seventh sin. Whoa, I think I just slipped into the compost bin. I can't win, this is no fun. I've been eating so many vegetables. I think I'm turning into one. Okay, maybe I'm being lazy or I'm just mayonnaise-y, little shell-shocked by all I've been eating. My stomach's a combustor, like Keaton. Will I die, be died, and die again to be swept beneath peat? Or will I grow and go by some other name and still smell as sweet? When it all soils down to his moot, whether filled with petals or feathers, I'll be replanted into ground and sprout forth with such force to truly take root. And after a little rain shower, I'll flower, then fruit. Shit, shoot. What if there's a drought? I'll dry out. And I have no hands to hold a watering can to give my soil a squirt. Uh-oh. Spoiler alert. Beauty killed the beast, Ernesto murdered Hector, and the apes were on Earth the whole time. What if I'm a demon alien allergic to water, like at the end of Signs? Because Finkel is Einhorn, Einhorn is Finkel, and Adelaide is really red. Vader is Luke's father, and Dr. Crow is already dead. We all know it was a hell of a weekend at Bernie's for everyone but Bernie. So instead of caring only about the end, why don't I try to extend my joy of the journey? Maybe let the whole milk expire. Yeah, sometimes I should skip dessert for a healthier entree and no appetizer prior. Just because I crave something doesn't mean I need to satisfy that desire. Everything's gonna be okay. I can't see dead people, and I'm not a rosebud, I'm a sleigh. Or a sled. Wait, maybe I'm already dead. Am I just acting chicken? Or am I an egg? I've lost faith, I have no limbs and no face, and if that's the case, my mere existence is an uncracked mystery. Don't know if I'm alive, expired, or yet to be, and I will admit I do miss those tender strips of delicious crispy chicken, which makes this hard-boiled detective story sound a bit more like cannibalistic fiction. But before I army hammer this home, I need to forget about what happens at the end or who came first. Because at this point, I don't know which sounds worse, to be unhatched and beaten or sent to a slaughterhouse to be defeated then eaten. Wait a minute, whether I'm chopped liver or mixed with chopped spinach, isn't it all the same? Animals and plants both consume animal remains. So either way, I'm no meatless vegan either, not yet a vegetable either. In fact, I don't have a veggie bone in my body. None of us do. In fact, so much so, I'm ready to humdrum stick it to the man with this excellent plan. to shear my fears of this Humpty Dumpty society and show you what's truly inside me. Go on, come fly with me. I'm ready to risk it, because the greatest trick this deviled egg ever pulled was convincing the world he ever existed.
And like that, he's gone. And like that, he's gone.
That was it. All right.
Wonderful, wonderful. It was very fun. Very fun.
Bagak bagak. There it is.
Yeah, there you go. Kevin's doing a little chicken dance. Yay. All right, guys, on the recording. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you.